So this is my modified complex circuit. So basically what it does is I enter a serial command and it'll run the motors either forward, backwards, left or right, or neutral, or like neutral like that. And so how I do this is I have 4 NPN transistors and 4 PNP transistors, and I can use that to change the polarity of these two motors here to make them run reverse or forward or neutral, basically. And so start off, I have a USB powering a Arduino Uno, just 5 volts, and then I have 8 digital pinouts each that either sends out either 0 volts or 5 volts to these to the base of these transistors, and those control the transistors whether they allow current to pass through the collector and emitter or not. And so I have NPN, PNP, NPN, PNP, NPN, PNP, NPN, PNP, and then so say take these two. These two control the left motor, or I like to call it motor 1, and it controls the forward motion of this motor. So since this is an NPN, when voltage is applied here, 5 volts, which is in series with a 100 ohm resistor, which goes to the base of this NPN transistor, it allows current to pass through the collector and the emitter pins, and then those pins go to the positive terminal of the motor, and then this transistor, PNP transistor, when I want this motor to go forward, I apply a low voltage here, or essentially 0 volts, to the base of this transistor, which allows current to flow through the collector and emitter, and that goes to the negative side of this motor. So basically allows current to flow through the motor, through these transistors, and that allows the motor to spin. And then these ones control the backward motion of this one, and it's basically the same thing, except the emitter of the NPN goes to the negative terminal. Well, it's not necessarily negative, it's just like for a certain rotation, that's what it's represented by. The opposite of the the positive side of this transistor is connected to the negative side of this transistor, so it basically reverses the polarity of the thing, which, and with a brushed motor, it reverses the direction of the motor, of the rotation, because the coils reverse the polarity. And yeah, then these ones do the same exact thing, but for this motor. So I can use a logic gate to control the mode of each motor, whether it goes forward, backwards, neutral. And then I basically took that, and I'll show you the code. So I use a series of lows and highs for motor 1, motor 2, forwards and backwards, to control the outputs of the pins, which controls the direction of the motors. So if I go to the serial monitor and input C0, that is essentially neutral, so everything's low. And then if I do C1, what that does is activates the forward motion transistors, so each both motors will go forward. So if I enter that, they both go forward. And then C0, And C in the serial monitor is represented by command. So C0 is neutral, C1 is forward, C2 is backwards, C3 is left, and C4 is right. I'll go over that in the serial monitor explanation. So C2, I go backwards, 0. Let me move this out of the way. So C2, they both go backwards. C3, it goes left. C4, that one goes, so it goes right, and then C0. So it's a complex circuit because I'm using both series, and I'm not going to explain the whole thing because that would take 15 minutes. It uses a combination of series circuits and parallel circuits to control the polarity of the motors. And that's essentially what it is. And also I'm actually using a separate power source. I'm not powering the motors using the Arduino. I'm using a 2-cell lithium polymer battery, which is fully charged, 8.4 volts, going to the circuit, which controls basically these goes either to the collector of the NPNs, and the emitter in the negative side goes the emitter of the PNPs. So it circulates the current through the motors in the battery, and it's basically using the transistors as logic gates to control. Alright, so this is the serial monitor for modified complex. So I'm using both the serial read function and the serial print function in this circuit. So right now I have it defaulted to go to neutral, the neutral position. And that's basically using the state value, because when state is equal to 0, I have it print neutral, because that's what it is. So 0 is neutral, 1 is forward, 2 is backwards, 3 is left, and 4 is right. So if I go, and I use C as command, because that's what signifies that I'm telling the circuit to do something. If I do C1, that's forward. C2, backwards. I have it unplugged right now just so it doesn't ruin the video. C3, left. C4, right, and back to Z0, neutral. So I can use the serial read function to control using it in an if statement to control the logic gates for the motors. And that's basically what the serial monitor is doing in this circuit.